So we went to the carousel. I remember it well, carousel 10. And within a few minutes, David had got his 2 suitcases. I took one of them, he took the other, and he had a backpack also. I had my backpack, and we went to security. We went up to the little desk, and yeah, we got through pretty, no dramas at all. And they asked me what my how long I was going to be in Miami, and David had told me to tell him I was transitioning in 2 days to Belize. He checked my ticket, my outbound ticket to Belize, and he stamped my passport, and he said, welcome to Miami, have a good time. And that was it. There was no dramas at all, and it was brilliant, just brilliant to go through. And yeah, that was it. So we got into the terminal, we got to the gates, we got to up through with so many people. It was crazy. I'd never seen as many people concentrated in one area in my lifetime. Black people, white people, Chinese people, people of all colours and creeds, different accents, different smells, all pushing each other, jostling to get through. A couple of arguments broke out. There was loads of police everywhere, loads of security. We got outside the terminal, and a couple of bag handlers ran over. They pointed to them, they called a taxi. They put our luggage into the vehicles. They gave them a few dollars, thanked them in Spanish. I couldn't believe that he spoke Spanish. And we went off to a little hotel called La Quinta, and it was 3 or 4 miles from the airport. It had a little outdoor swimming pool, and it was the hotel that David always stayed at when he was up in Miami. And we went in. I was wide awake. David was kind of tired, and I said, fucking hell, you've slept the whole flight. So anyway, had a shower, got my clothes changed, and he says, let's get your head down, Col. He says, for an hour or two. He says, you're going to feel it later on, get your head down. And he says, and we'll go out later on. He goes, we'll get a bite to eat. So he put the TV on. David always slept with the TV on for some reason, and it was something I did when I was on my own as well. I always slept with the TV on. When Jenny went down to Dublin with Connor, I didn't sleep in the bed. I couldn't sleep in the bed like without her. So it was just on the couch, and I would fall asleep with the TV on. And that's how David was. I didn't realise. So anyway, he was on his bed, I was on my bed. He, within minutes of coming out the shower, he fucking lay in the bed and he was snoring like a butcher's dog. And I lay on the bed watching the TV. It was really strange to watch TV with guys with American accents. It was crazy. I'd only really heard an American accent on TV growing up with John Wayne and all these war movies and stuff, and it was really, really weird. And so yeah, that was kind of crazy. I did drift off. I think I slept an hour or two. Woke up to the sound of Dave in the shower again, and Dave was meticulous in ironing his clothes, so he was ironing his shirts. I woke up, and he says, right, he says, get your iron a shirt, Col. He says, and a clean pair of pants. He says, and we'll go get something to eat. So got ready. We got a taxi. Into town. We went to a place called Coconut Grove, and it was just unreal. It was the hot spot in Miami, and it took us about 25 minutes by taxi to get there. David paid for everything. I couldn't believe it. David was just, he paid for everything. He knew the culture in Miami. He knew all the places to go to, and so we traveled around. He knew the amount of people he knew was unreal, and he had his wife Sue had cousins up there, so he had called I can't remember who it was, to be honest, but one of the girls that came was a girl called Pauline. She was only young, and she was Chinese American, and she was absolutely gorgeous, and she was Sue's niece. And little did I know that a few years later I'd meet Pauline again in Belize. And yeah, we had a good time. We went around a couple of bars and stuff, and I was as tense as a fucking, I wasn't comfortable because I'd never been in that in that environment before. And Dave was just like looking at me. Another big slap on the back of the head. Cool down, calm yourself down, relax, chill out, Call. It's all cool, you know, it's not like back home, you know, let's just enjoy ourselves, you know, and life begins now. And, you know, and it was great. I think we got back into the hotel about 2:30 in the morning. Fell asleep straight away. Woke up the next morning, breakfast, shower, blah, 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 blah. Dave sat making a few phone calls. He called Sue. Sue spoke on the phone to me. Hey, Carl, how are you? You know, it'd be good to see you again. Blah, 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 blah. And then we'll see you tomorrow. And that was it. So we spent that day. They was making phone calls, making arrangements. And Sue had told him that she had booked 10 divers, 10 new divers to learn how to scuba dive. And he handed me the books again, get into them books, Call, start reading. He goes, because he says on Saturday morning, he says your class begins, your training begins. So that was it. I studied most of the day. We just ate and slept in the room, and Dave was asking me questions. He was going over things. He was explaining the dive things to me: Dalton's law, Archimedes principle, Boyle's law, you know, depth, pressures, ambient pressures at depth, all this type of stuff, ascending, descending, all this type of stuff. And he was testing me on it, and to be honest, I did quite well. And so that's how that day went. The next morning we were up at 6 o'clock, breakfast, showered, change of clothes, and we headed to the airport. We got the 8 o'clock flight to Belize City Municipal Airport. Belize International Airport, and it was a 2-hour flight, just over 2 hours on American Airlines. And the fucking heat, in Belize, once that door opened, was fucking 10 times hotter than Miami. Once we flew in, we just flew over the jungle. And the ocean was incredible. It was turquoise and dark blue and light blue, and it was just like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't describe it at all. And as we turned to come into Belize, I could see the Belize River, I could see the old bridge, I saw Belize City, saw the jungle. And as we came into the airport, I saw the British Army camp on one side and the airport on the other. And you basically just crossed the runway and you're in the British Army camp. And David had been based there, and he was telling me all about it on the he goes, look, Carl, you know, that's the Bluebird or the Blackbird. He goes, that's the bar, the club over there, and this is this, and those old round huts that I was there, and all this. And he was just like a wealth of knowledge, and he was explaining everything to me. And in the airport, once we landed, we got out and we got through, and we got into customs and stuff. David knew all the security guys there, and David started pulling out little bits and pieces from one of the bags and giving this stuff to these guys. And it was basically, he was greasing the palms of these guys to get us through smoothly. And they didn't search our bags. They didn't search Dave's bags. Dave gave them a few dollars each, greased the palms. And I didn't really realize how corrupt the security guys at the Belize airport were until I actually started traveling on my own. And but it was great to touch down in Belize. I couldn't believe how far I'd actually come in that couple of days of leaving Fintona, Northern Ireland, to being in Belize and just getting into the Belizean airport. It wasn't big, it wasn't massive, and we had an hour and a half to wait to get on a little Cessna 172 to get out to the island, which was about 30 minutes flight away. And in the airport itself was a little bar called Jet's Bar, and it was run by a little guy who called himself Jet, a little guy with glasses, curly hair, a little Belizean guy. And Jet was about 4 foot tall, and he was one of the nicest guys that I had ever come to meet.